pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll be on to the Board of Supervisors meeting. This is July 11th, 2023. Do we have any changes to the tentative agenda? I have. Meet with department heads and elected officials. Krista Pogamiller, Health Department.
Good morning, we're just keeping busy, nothing new to report.
Rodney Bleasner, Maintenance.
Good morning, have a lot of stuff going on. S&G has started the siding project out at the jail. They started last Thursday. So they're gonna be on that at least a couple months, 2 to 3 months, kind of depending on how things go. So that project's underway, going okay so far. Other than that, nothing new to report.
Ken Heinman, Mental Health Agency of Southeast Iowa.
Yeah, we have our Mental Health Agency of Southeast Iowa meeting tomorrow, stakeholder meeting and afternoon governing board meeting, so they'll be, deciding board members and committee members and just a lot of, starting the new region, so a lot of business going on, so nothing else to report right now.
Ken, is that meeting gonna be at Fairfield from now on then?
Yeah, it's in Fairfield again, yep. So Fairfield, what's it called? I don't know, it's over by the hospital anyways, in Fairfield, the hospital exit, so, yep.
Matt Warner, County Assessor.
Just here for a couple agenda items.
All right. Janelle Nally Lundquist, Treasurer's Office.
Good morning, we're just keeping busy, working on end of the fiscal year stuff, and I do have an agenda item. Other than that, nothing new to report.
Chris Lee, Conservation.
Good morning. Some good news here in the last couple of weeks. Last week we were presented a check from the USG Foundation, US Gypsum, for $5,000 to go towards the improvements up there at Big Hollow, the ADA improvements, and the campground expansion. That was kind of a surprise for us. One of the people that camps at Big Hollow pretty regularly works there and nominated us to be selected by their foundation for some funding. And so we were selected, so really appreciate that. And then Sunday, I went up to a grant hearing for the Pheasants Forever State Trust Fund, and we were funded for this land acquisition. We're working on a little 19-acre expansion to Hickory Bend that would bring Hickory Bend out to the creek. We've been working on this for quite a while. We did get $12,000 worth of funding from the State Pheasants Forever Trust Fund, which is matched by the local out of Leopold chapter. And so those dollars plus the $10,000 we got from Whitetails Unlimited already is going towards that, which that gets us the match that we need for the Wildlife Habitat Stamp Grant that we applied for, that we should find out here in a couple weeks whether we score on that one. If we score high enough on that one, that gets us the property purchase. So moving and shaking.
Land use. Well. I was watching the meeting last night. Goodness gracious, Jared, we love you. Thanks for writing this for us. We couldn't do it without you. Anyways, that was. I know, man. All hell, Jared last night. But anyways, good work for the city. We appreciate what you do for the county. Land use, Zach or Jared.
For the record, it was a grant that this regional planning helped the city out applying for, so it's what we do. So. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes not, so.
Look at that.
I don't really have anything particular for land use.
I've got a couple kind of zoning, floodplain issues we're kind of working through, and some possible new subdivisions coming up, otherwise we have the agenda item today.
Colin Gerst, IT.
Just keeping busy like always, nothing new to report.
Sheriff Kevin Glendenning.
Good morning. Last week we officially got law enforcement in Des Moines County on the ISIC system. That's the Iowa State Interoperability Communication System. The infrastructure is not here to go fully on that system at this point. But kind of the step one of getting radio channels assigned to us here in Des Moines County so we can utilize the system that's there, which is important because we have some struggles in some of our current UHF system. So we're happy to take that step forward. As many of you know, our current emergency management coordinator, Gina Harden, she's going to be retiring early next year. She's served the county very well for 29 years, and the board put out the announcement for her position. So if you know anybody that's would be a great fit, they can find that information on the website. And thank you to Colin in creation of that link in the website information, the PDF and everything else that I'm no good at. He's very good at those things, so I appreciate all his help on that. The jail is at 94. 6 of those were in intake this morning, so that went up 6 overnight. 2 are waiting on prison, but they're actually leaving today, so we'll be down to 0 on that prison wait list. 3 for the halfway house. Not a bad number, but 2 of those are females, and we tend to wait quite a bit for female beds. I think that's about all I have. That's
How many
it.
have out of county?
What's that?
How many do we have?
Oh, sorry, 17 total, 1 of those is the juvenile, so 16 adults, 13 are in Lee County and 3 are in Henry County.
Thanks, Kevin.
That's a number that we don't like to see.
Get them out. Sarah Marie, auditor.
Good morning. Just working on end of fiscal year stuff, wrapping up payroll, getting some numbers changed for new year. Other than that, just business as usual.
And Brian Carter, county engineer.
Good morning. Things are moving along. Yeah, 99 still closed. They are talking about maybe putting some concrete down. Maybe, they were talking late this week. I think more likely next week, especially with the rain in the forecast tomorrow. But there's progress. If you end up there at all, and maybe next week I'll be able to get you up there. You can, especially on the north end of the bridge, really kind of tell how things are gonna lay in, and so they're making headway, and hopefully we'll get some concrete put down too to really start doing that also. Other than that, our county crew is still working on the other bridge project, so that's coming along, and plenty of other stuff going on. And I have a couple agenda items also to help keep things moving along.
Okay, gentlemen, do we have any correspondence?
We got a letter, you might remember, it's been a year ago. Maury Rappenecker used to teach at Washington School, the site of the new public health building. And she'd said that there were a couple of trees that the kids had planted, and wondering if they would fit in the landscaping or if those could be saved. And she said somewhere out there, there's a time capsule that the students buried. And so, I don't know. Anyway, she'd reached out, and she wanted to know if she could come talk to us about it. And so I emailed her back and said that I would be happy to meet her there with Ryan, the representative from the construction manager, and we could look, because we've got the building laid out. We'll have that done very quickly, finalized, and we can look and see if there's anything that can be done with the trees or what the situation is there, and if we can get a handle on where that time capsule might be. I thought maybe we could reach out to the school system and turn it over to them and said, we would like to get this started before long, but they might want to have some, a little ceremony to unearth that, depending on whether they really know where it's at. Otherwise, it might be unearthed by accident, I don't know. That's all I have.
All right, good luck with that, Thomas. This brings us to number 5, discussion and vote. 5A is a public hearing for ordinance number 62, regulations for the siting and operation of wind energy conversion system. This is the second public hearing. Can I get a motion to open up?
Move to open up public hearing number 62.
Second. Moved and second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broger,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. The purpose of ordinance number 62 is to establish a set of minimum standards for the siting, placement, construction, installation, operation, maintenance, and decommissioning of commercial wind energy conversion systems in order to protect the public health, safety, and community welfare of the residents of Des Moines County. Again, this is the second reading and the second public hearing. So, if there's anybody in the public, we would like to hear from you at this time. Anybody here have anything to say? Yes, sir?
Yeah.
Please give us your name, please.
Good morning, Mike Carberry, Bright Fisher, Iowa Outreach Director. I was here last week, I was here all last summer. When you're talking about this, I respect your very thoughtful process of going through this. Just concerned about a few things. I think there's a couple things that could be changed in the ordinance to make it actually palatable to a wind energy developer. One is that setback distance. The ordinance says 2 times or 1,800 feet, which is ever greater. Our wind turbines are now about 500 feet tall, 300 feet of the tower, and they're getting about 180 foot for the blades. They have a tip height of about 500 feet. So, and they're gonna get bigger, and that's maybe up to 600 feet. It's one of the reasons why I recommended 2 times the height of the turbine as a setback. Well, that's pretty much industry standard. 1,800 feet would be about 3 times or more of the tip height of the turbine, and that is a little restrictive and would probably prevent any developer from looking at Des Moines County for a wind farm. Also, the decommissioning, 2 things on that. One is the surety bond. You originally had it at unlimited. I talked to some bond brokers. That was no way anybody would ever issue a bond on unlimited, but then you lowered it down to 3 times. Now, I've talked to some wind developers, and they also feel that that would be a no-go for them. And then the last possible thing was, and so they were recommending, I mean, why would you 100% surety bond protects the taxpayers, protects the county, protects everybody. It's what it costs what it costs, and you re-estimate it every 2 or 3 years. That's kind of how it's done in the industry. And the last thing, and this is probably not the deal breaker, but is the removal of the concrete base, completely removed. Right now, the concrete base is about 10 foot deep, and most of the ordinances have that set at, say, removal down to 4 feet. And then you put topsoil back on top of it, and you farm. Most of those roots are not even gonna hit 4 feet. The soybeans and the corn, probably not gonna hit that. So, removing it all the way is just more costly, but that also should be a property right, should be negotiated with, in the contract with the leasee in saying, well, you want us to remove it all, then we will. But our industry standard is 4 feet, if that's good enough for you, then it's good to go, and it makes the project a little bit more palatable. So those are the 3 things that we at Bright Future Iowa are a little bit concerned about. We'd ask you to possibly reconsider, make an amendment to the ordinance to change those 3 things. So thank you very much, I appreciate your time this morning, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else?
You want me to stand up or?
Yeah, please. And give us your names that we're on.
Okay, Ryan Drew, 12688 Flint Bottom Road here in Des Moines County. Speaking this morning on the proposed ordinance as a Des Moines County resident. One of the things that when we first started this conversation was how do we start putting restrictions in a county that essentially has very few restrictions, right? That's one of the things that taxpayers in Des Moines County have been adamant about and enjoyed for many years. Sometimes to the detriment of your neighbor or whatever the case might be, but that's still one of the things that have been cherished by Des Moines County. I apologize I wasn't at the first meeting, I was out of town. But I wanted to come here and speak. I've worked with Mike, different counties across the state on these renewable energy projects. One of the things that it's important to us for the Southeast Iowa Building Trades that I serve as the president of, the coal-fired power plants are going away. I mean, it seems like you can have that debate on Main Street, but the owners of those facilities have already made those decisions. They're going away. We've tore down 3 in the last probably 5 years and getting ready to tear down 2 more. So we have to look at where are we gonna produce our energy, right? And are we in Des Moines County going to be able to recoup some of the taxes off of generating that electricity? Because we're gonna use it, right? So we're gonna either import it or we're gonna build it, create it here in Des Moines County. And with the ordinance as it's drafted right now, essentially what we're doing is saying, we're not gonna allow that. We're not gonna get any tax revenue off the production of electricity in Des Moines County, because it's just, as Mike has spoken, it's too restrictive. Whether it be the 1,800-foot setback, again, Mike spoke about what the reasonable standard would be, 1,200 foot, that's twice the height of a tower. I mean, the greatest fear would be if one of these fell over onto a neighbor's property or something, right? Well, again, twice the height of it would be ample to cover any scenario where that would happen. The unlimited or even 3 times the surety bond for the decommissioning, I mean, the county doesn't do business like that, right? When we put out a project for bid, we don't have the contractor insure the project for 3 times the bid, right? Because we know what the result would be. It wouldn't happen, right? You wouldn't get bidders, because they're not gonna put that much money out for, I mean, we look at what's feasible for a project, and 3 times the decommissioning is, I mean, that's just not feasible. So, the 4-foot elevation, I mean, talk to any farmer, when they tear down a barn or something, what do? They tear out concrete to 4 feet below the grade, and they cover it up so nothing comes up through the frost, and what's below that is below it, right? I don't have as much of a problem with that. If it's determined between the owner and that they tear the whole thing out, great, that's more work for the members of the operating engineers, so. But again, I hope you reconsider, amend this to make it more reasonable. I think it would be an amendment to make it more reasonable, such as what Mike spoke, would be a better reflection of what the history of Des Moines County has been, where, you know, we've been respectful of property owner rights if they want to have these on their property or whatever they put on their property. But also keep in mind, as we look at, you know, counties in Iowa, these rural counties losing population, we have to figure out where we're gonna get tax revenue from, and these are a great source of that. Again, as we see the Sullivan Slough power plant leave, where are we gonna get that tax revenue off of producing electricity here in Des Moines County? So I hope you consider that. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Anybody else from the public? Okay. Siri, did we receive anything by email or?
I have not received anything in the auditor's office.
Just for the record, I don't think we've got any comments or feedback.
Yes.
One question. Is the reason for such a large setback in case the tower falls over or a blade flies off? I know that may sound silly.
I don't know who created the 1,800 foot or what it was originally set at, I mean, but it would have to come from a county that doesn't want wind, so, wind turbines in their county, I mean, because it's.
We see some at as low as 1.1 times, so if it's 500 feet to tip, then it's 1.1 is 550 feet, right? So 10% more. That is on the low end, and 2 times or 2.2 kind of on the high end. So you're seeing, you know, and because the, you know, 20 years ago, the biggest blades were 120 foot. Then they went up to 140, 160. Now we're seeing 1,800 foot blades. One of the problems is if you get 108, more than 180 foot, you won't be able to take them down the road. I mean, they're already massively long and to negotiate roads and things like this. 180 foot is pushing the maximum on the blade length, and the towers are about pushing a football field high. I mean, that's tall, 300 feet. But there's a lot of information out there. Some of it is correct, a lot of it is not, about ice throw and something like this. And the blade, if a blade that's, you know, tons and tons big, you know, I don't even know what they weigh. It's a massive amount of weight. If it comes loose, it's gonna drop. It isn't gonna throw it like a football, and, you know, 3 times the height of the turbine or something like that. So it's just, and it's safety. And if they start on fire, you basically let them burn and protect the ground underneath of it. So that's, you know, we've had lightning strikes and a few fires. They're insured for that, and they're bonded for that, and the taxpayers are not liable for anything, or the landowner, anything that happens with a malfunction of a turbine.
Is the landowner compensated for the crop acreage? that
Oh,
he's
absolutely. It's, a wind turbine itself, footing takes about, and the portion that's not farmed, about a quarter of an acre. And then you have to have roads, kind of build some gravel roads with it to access. They average about another quarter acre per turbine, so you're end up about half an acre out of production.
Thanks, Satisfied, you good? Okay, gentlemen, Jim, Tom?
I'd kind of like some more discussion on the items that they brought to hand.
I think I can address those, or at least what we've talked about before.
You want
No, the first one about the 4 foot deep rather than 10 foot or whatever, I don't have it today, but I've got a catalog from AES that is trying to accumulate quite a few acres in the north part of the county. And they got in there and they said industry standard is 3 foot, I believe what they said, but they said they're happy to, remove it. The entire footing is not a problem at all, if that's what the landowner wants. And we want to put things in this now, because the county will have no leverage later. So if they're already figuring this, if the farmer decides, yeah, I'd like to have those concrete pedestals or so much concrete, nobody's gonna tell them they can't do that then. And the other thing's the setback, we're at 1,800 feet, and that's to an occupied residence. So, and I think part of the reasons for some of that are noise and shadow flicker and whatnot. It's like we discussed having a 40 or 50-story building out there, because that's how tall this thing is. But anyway, and you told us the first couple times you were here, that 2,500 feet is a poison pill. You said that, I think, was it Woodbury, anyway, that 2,500, and you've told us that a couple times, that people put that in as a poison pill, when we were talking about 2,500 feet. So now we're at 1,800 feet. I really think this represents the board's sincere best efforts to protect the rights of and balance the interests of both participating and non-participating landowners, the public, and the taxpayers of Des Moines County. And as far as the bond, 3 times, if you're gonna have it sit for 3 years, between being re-estimated, we've learned in the last 2 years what inflation does. I think I mentioned cost of paving a highway has gone up about 2/3 since 2021.
And reevaluate every year.
Well, and the way we've got it written is to evaluate it every, well, a lot can change over a year. But and it's an interesting, or a special circumstance, because the value of those installations is directly tied to federal subsidies, or in state subsidies. Warren Buffett's company owns Mid-America Energy. He said the only reason they build those, the only reason to build windmills, he said, is for the tax credits. So that's subject to political whims. So if those tax credits go way down or go away, the value of those installations will plummet.
Well, once they're installed, the tax credit is.
Well, if you aren't making money off of them, you're not gonna take as good a care from. It will affect every part, the maintenance, the operation, the construction, the decommissioning. Those people will be busy decommissioning. It will affect. And that's the reason it's 3 times the value we do that. And the reason we want a bond is risks are an inherent part of any contract. Ryan knows this. And you deal with them through insurance and bonds. And insurance and bonds are real costs. So the risk to the county is the potential, however small, of tens or likely hundreds of millions of dollars in decommissioning costs, liability claims, and the loss of the property tax base is too large to take any chance on. A loss like that would break Des Moines County. And nobody can deny that there are installations throughout the country that have been abandoned. So, to the extent that that risk can be addressed, it has to be addressed now, because the county will have no leverage after that's up, saying, well, we'd like to increase that bond. It's there. It has to be done now. And if the assumption of those risks is too expensive for the developer or owner of the installation, that means that project won't pay its own transaction costs. And Des Moines County cannot afford to subsidize those risks. I mean, if we're gonna absorb the cost of those risks, the actual cost, the risk of those financial losses, that's a subsidy. And we cannot afford to subsidize that. And if a bonding company whose sole function is to assess, price, and assume risks, think that the assumption of those risks is more expensive or more prohibitive than they want to engage in, why would Des Moines County want to take those risks? I can't imagine a reason.
Cool, I just want to throw on top, I just gotta say this too. We're not saying that we want them to pay 3 times as much. That's not what that's saying on the bond. So I mean, even if it said 5 times, it's still gonna come out to whatever it takes to decommission that. I just gotta throw that out there. Go ahead.
Well, and Tom can speak to this, so 3 times the value, you're still locking up that much value in it. That's the cost of the bond to secure that 3 times. And I guess, you know, when you speak about inflation and everything else, I mean, you're talking about new material coming in, the rising costs. We're talking about tearing stuff down. I mean, the only thing variables is the price of labor and the price of fuel, right? I mean, you're not putting new material, you're simply tearing it down. But I guess my question is how is, you talk about all this liability that falls on the county. I mean, how does a project that's on private property fall back to the county anyway? You set the ordinance. If everybody follows the ordinance is what it is. The owner, the private property developer reached an agreement with the owner, or the developer of the project. How does the county ever end up with any liability? No private homeowner's gonna come over to the county and sue you because the developer didn't tear out their concrete. They had the contract with the developer, right? I mean, I don't understand where the county gets on the hook for all this.
No landowner can afford to address those costs.
But again,
They have a 1,000-acre junkyard now. No
they're not gonna
landowner
sue
can do
the
that.
county for that.
What? They're not gonna sue the county. I'm just saying, we need it
So there is no-
decommissioned, so it goes back on the tax rolls by somebody that can pay it. So that, the taxpayers don't have to assume those costs before it becomes any sort of a hazard. This is, you address risks when a contract is signed. And this is what we've addressed the risks as. And inflation happens in services as well as in materials. So if you have, if they take away those subsidies and those installations plummet in value, or the value of what they put out,
but again,
what's it gonna do to what's it gonna do to the people that operate those?
But it doesn't end up in a bill to the county.
It does, if the county has to clean it up, if somebody goes broke. or
Nothing in the
home-
ordinance says we're responsible for going cleaning up a developer's.
Well, then we should leave it there. So if we've got a 10,000-acre installation in Des Moines County, that the developer, operator went broke, whatever, you know, the county's just supposed to let 10,000 acres of junkyard sit there?
No, I don't think anybody wants to see that, but.
Well, we don't wanna see it.
Yeah.
But the difference between 300, or 3 times and, 100% of the value, I don't see the difference. I mean, it's gonna be cleaned
You're
up
looking
anyway.
at the inflation, and then you're looking at the volatility of that industry. Both of those things are well out of the norm. That's, anyway, so.
But having said the same thing, can we make a bond 300% of the value of a new road, a new bridge project? I mean, again, we're talking about inflation with materials. If that contractor went debunked on the 99 bridge.
If we
would have to
did, he would
finish it.
have to include that in his bid, and he would. I've been a contractor, if they said, bond this, you include that in your bid, if that's what the contractor wants, those damages are a little more accessible. You know what it is, it's a section of road, it's a building, it's something like that. We don't know what, if they tear, if something happens and I have to tear these down 20 years from now, any idea on what that'll cost? Or 3 years from now? Nobody here has an idea.
It's metal, it's, I
But it's
mean, there's value to it.
There you go. Who knows? I'm just saying, this, we're protecting Des Moines County. We're not gonna have, the taxpayers are not gonna take that risk. At least as far as I'm concerned.
My mindset is, I'm not trying to make it so hard that nobody will bite, I just don't wanna make it that easy that anybody can do it.
These projects are $300 million projects minimum, and not any Tom, Dick, and Harry is gonna be developing a wind project in Des Moines County. But, you know, we're talking about setbacks here, we're talking about bonds. If those current things pass in this, you won't have to, in this ordinance, you'll never have to worry about even an application, because it won't come. You are basically gonna be blocking off economic development for the county, power generation,
Because of the
and
setback.
taxes. Because of the setbacks in the bond. Those are deal breakers. Now, Tom didn't like me using the word poison pill, and I use that for
Oh,
2,500. I know you don't like that.
I don't care. I
Yeah,
just said you
but
told
it
us
is.
2,500
But
was
these-
one. So we
these
didn't
ord-
want one.
This ordinance is very restrictive on those two things, that you will never have a development in
But
this
let me go
county.
back to
Yeah,
that though.
yeah.
You did say the first time, so I do have notes of that, you did say that the poison pill was the 22.
2,500 or a
2,500.
quarter mile, but there's other, I mean.
I'm just saying, so now
Yeah,
we're down to-
exactly, but Woodbury
asking
County
Michael.
has 1 mile. You know, that's what Woodbury County said, 1 mile setback. And Mid-American Energy said, based on the 12,000 turbines we have installed in Iowa, if you put a 1 mile setback to occupied dwelling, we would have only been able to install 1% of those 12,000 turbines. And so, even though Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, is in it for the tax credits, it's a pretty damn good business model, because the wind turbines produce a lot of electricity, produce a lot of money for them, and also produce a lot of taxes for, the replacement taxes for the county itself. So, you know, you do what you want, you know, you've heard from us, you know, it's, I think that if the ordinance passes the second and third time as it is, that you'll never have to worry about wind again in the county. That's, and so you can say you support renewable energy, but if you put things in your ordinance that say otherwise, then the proof is in the pudding. Thank you.
I think what we're trying to put in the ordinance is that only the serious need apply in Des Moines County, and I've got no problem with saying that, but, I still have, as far as the surety bond, I lean more on Tom for that. The 3 times, I still was nervous about the initial, the way it was set up initially, just because that does concern me when it comes time for decommissioning, and we don't know when that's going to be. You know, I know that every 3 years it's getting adjusted and all of that stuff, but I'm talking about further on down the road after we have a lot of wind and solar set up in Des Moines County. So yeah, I don't wanna set it up where nobody's looking at us, but at the same time, I still think some of the other ordinances that I've read, I thought they were a little weak.
You know, the average life of these is 20 years on the wind turbine. I disagree with you, everything I've read's good, average life 20 years. You might say 30, you might say 40, I say 20. And the thing, excuse me, the thing of it is, we want to protect the county, and we want to protect the county residents if they're gonna put these on. At the time, if somebody's interested, they can bring some facts and figures to us instead of hearsay like everything we've heard. You know, you never showed us any facts that this is what it is. That's what I'd like to see.
Tom, you got anything in closing?
I don't, other than I mentioned it last year. I looked it up last week. The Excel Energy had a compliance filing with the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission in 2011. Their estimate for decommissioning at that time per turbine was $445,000 in 2009 dollars. In 2023 dollars, that's almost $630,000 per turbine in decommissioning costs. If somebody walks away from them, there are no landowners that can do anything about that. So, if there's any further comment, I'd make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Sarah Marie?
Tom Brooker.
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes.
I would make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 62.
Second.
Moved in second, Sarah Marie?
Tom Brooker.
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, moving right along, brings us to B for payroll claim reimbursements in the amount of $2,188.04. Get a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Moving in second, Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Tom Brooker.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Next, we have 5C, which is approval of assessors 2023 homestead credits and military exemptions. This letter is to inform you that Des Moines County Assessor's Office has received and reviewed the 2023 applications for homestead credit and military exemptions. We received 91 applications for military and 652 applications for homestead credit. We recommend that 3 applications for military and 8 applications for homestead be denied as they do not meet the requirements. We have attached information here. Also is attached is a copy of the Des Moines County Homestead Military Credit Report and report showing those credits that have been removed for 2023. I'm going to read these because I can't, but Matt.
Yes, I mean, that basically says it all. He's here for any questions. Their reasons for denial are listed there. I don't think we need to go through each one of those. A lot of homesteads this year with the new 65 and over legislation that was put in place. So we saw an increase of people that didn't even have the homestead to begin with. So that's probably a good thing for the taxpayers. Just basically here to see if you have any questions on that. Basically, the new additions, deletions, and then denials are all listed there for homestead and the military exemptions.
Did you mention last week, or I don't remember when, that you got about 4,000 applications for that 65 and over credit?
That was my high estimate. It came in around 3,200.
Okay.
65 and over, so.
You'll say you had white lines up there.
Yeah, it was to handle that many people in a short period of time, it was pretty busy there for a while. But most of the people coming in were pretty happy to see us, so that was an unusual change.
Just don't get used to it.
Yeah.
Gotta get a motion.
So, motion to approve the assessor's report on the credit and homestead credits and military exemptions.
Second.
Moved in second, Sarah Marie?
Tom Brooker.
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes.
We're estimating $100 per property. So, I mean,
300 signatures, we'll just get that after the vote.
that's a
Meeting's up. I'll just take both of them and bring it up. We got a bunch of stuff. Okay, 5D is approval of assessors 2023 disabled veterans exemptions. So there's to inform you that Des Moines County Assessor's Office has has received and reviewed the 2023 applications for disabled veterans homestead credit. We received 27 applications and recommend approval of 27. A copy of the disabled veterans homestead report is in this document. Matt?
Again, just pretty much spells it out there. Those are the new 100% disabled veteran exemptions we've approved.
Looks good.
Move to approve 2023 disabled veterans exemption.
Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Brooker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
5B is approval of amended appointment letter for emergency management. The Emergency Management Commission is made up of the following representatives. Representative from the City of Burlington, City of Danville, Mediapolis, Middletown, West Burlington, Board of Supervisors, and the Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office is Kevin Glendenning. Chad McCune is the alternate. From the Board of Supervisors, it is Tom Broker. I'm the alternate. From the City of West Burlington, it's Ron Peter. Greg Mansager is the alternate. City of Middletown, Eric Gerst. Warren Asmus is the alternate. The City of Mediapolis is vacant with Ray Wilson as the alternate. City of Danville is Jerry Strauss with Joe Huff as the alternate. And the City of Burlington is John Phillips with Linda Graham Murray as the alternate. Could I get a motion to approve the
So moved.
amendments?
Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Brooker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes, please. Okay. Next, we're at 5F. This is for the approval of supplemental agreement for professional engineering services for Des Moines County Bridge HF, FHWA 23600. So supplemental agreement number one is submitted in accordance with our current consulting engineering contract dated August 22nd. The type, size, and location of the replacement bridge has been completed in the optimum structure. I'm not going to get into all of that kind of gobbledygook, but I'm going to turn this over to Brian Carter so you can just let everybody know what's going on with this.
This is a bridge up on the north end of Highway 99. We've been working on this for a while, still working towards some of our environmental permits. And this is standard way of how we do business, so we've done the preliminary design. This will move us on to the final design. And I would recommend approval.
So moved.
Second. Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Which brings us to 5G, which is the approval of a supplemental agreement for professional engineering services for Des Moines County Bridge FR 11. That has some numbers to go along with it too. Brian Carter.
Same song, different verse. This would be the bridge on Upper Flint, exact same dynamic. We did the original contract, that goes through the preliminary. Probably the only thing I would mention about both of them, this also includes the geotechnical work, which has actually been done. It did it about a month ago. We had some special requirements in that, particularly on the other bridge because of the Corps of Engineers being involved. So that's also part of this. But either way, I would recommend approval. This lets us move on to final design. Both of these bridges, I hope are highly likely to have the ARPA funding. I would mention that. That's where these would be funded from. So we're making progress, making headway.
facilitate progress. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's it. You're good. Next, we have 5H, which is the Treasurer's Office list of depository funds. Following is a list of depositories for the Treasurer's Office for the period of 7/1/2023 through 6/30/2024. It's being submitted for approval in accordance with Chapter 12C.2 of Iowa Code. We have Farmers and Merchants at $24 million, Two Rivers Bank and Trust at $12 million, Danville State Savings Bank at $6 million, Mediapolis Savings Bank at $12 million, Iowa Public Agency Investment Trust at $15 million, First Interstate Bank at $12 million, Farmers Savings Bank at $7 million, and Midwest One at $7 million. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Next, we have 5I, Recorder's Office Depository of Funds. Gentlemen, I hereby designate Two Rivers Bank and Trust as the official depository for the funds of the Office of the Des Moines County Recorder of Deeds, Registrar of Vital Statistics. This designation is for the fiscal year July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. The dollar amount of maximum deposit is $150,000. Respectfully yours, Natalie Stepner, the Des Moines County Recorder Registrar. I get a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and approved. Moved and second. Let's do this, Sarah Marie.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. All right. Now we have department letters of cash on hand. We've got to report this, so we have, have to stamp all of these individually too, right? Okay. We have cash on hand for the Des Moines County Attorney at $110.31. We gotta do these, are we doing all of these at once, just approving all of these? Okay. We have the Des Moines County Assessor's Office, cash on hand at $15. Don't spend it all in one place. We have Des Moines County Secondary Roads with $138 in petty cash and $12 in receipts. We have Des Moines County Public Health with $25 in petty cash. Krista, you're rolling. We have Des Moines County Auditor's Office with $60 cash on hand. We also have 7 rings, 7 women's rings and 2 men's, and missing a ring. And we have 1 Canadian dollar bill and $1,832.11 money in lost and found. For the Des Moines County Sheriff's Office, we have $270.50 total, $200 petty cash, $70.50 in special investigations fine money. That's a lot, wow. GIS Department has $25 cash on hand. The Board of Supervisors, I'm sorry, that's Conservation has $25 cash on hand. The Recorder has $186.75 cash on hand. That's it. That's what we got. So can I get a motion to approve all of these, please?
So moved.
Second.
Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes.
Sorry about that, James. They're sticking
The group department, you got some good paper out there, Brian.
Only the best.
Huh?
Different than 8.5 by 11 normal.
You guys make your own out there, do you?
Yeah, it's a full-time process.
I've got a quick question for Kevin. When we do this every year, that native wine license coming up next, County Treasures LLC, where is that?
It's 61 in Rock Springs. Just right down there at the corner.
Almost to the county line.
I think they've got like a small little section of native wines, and there is absolutely no issues with the native wine sales.
And funny story, it's not treasurers like the agenda says, it's treasures.
Oh, it's Treasures, okay, okay, I'm not.
Just trying
familiar
to, you know, throw some funny things out there.
with that particular
It was,
enterprise.
one time before it was printed
County.
as county treasurers, at least this time it's country treasurers,
Yeah.
so we're gradually getting there.
I mean, county treasurers would have been pretty funny too. Not true.
And we actually just did a subdivision a month or so ago that split that business off from the surrounding farm ground.
Nice.
And pay you in wine?
Moving along, let's deal with it. We've got a Class B native wine license renewal for Country Treasures LLC.
No
Good?
concerns whatsoever.
Can I get a motion?
Motion to, second.
All right, what are we doing here?
I don't know, just pick one.
Pepsi?
All
Let's
right.
vote on it, Sarah Marie.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep. Okay, 5L brings us to personnel actions. We have one for DESCOM, one for the Recorder's Office, one for Correctional Center, and one for local, or two for local health. The first one is for DESCOM. It is Brendel Diaz. It's telecommunicator 1. It is time for their 2-year step increase to level C. Their previous rate was $23.89, and their new rate of pay will be $26.35. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep. The next one is for the Recorder's Office. It is Renee Harden. It's a second deputy, and moving from clerk 2 to second deputy. It's a promotion. Previous rate was $35,685.88. Their new rate is $45,660.87. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Next, we have the Correctional Center, which is Angela Coey. And the title is Correctional Officer. She has 6 hours and 35 minutes of unpaid as of June 25th of 2023. Can I get a motion to approve her pay?
So moved.
Second.
Moved to second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep. And then we have 2 for the local health. We have Inger McClellan, certified nurse's aide, a .75 hours of unpaid time as of July 5th. And then we also have Stephanie Gall, which is a health promotion coordinator. And it is a effective 7/7/2023, change to PRN as needed status, ending 11/30/2023. What is PRN?
As needed, so to help out with our events, we have nurses that will, say we have someone that's on vacation and we have an event going on, then that person will come in and help with those type of things.
All right.
Move to approve both of them.
Second.
Moved and approved twice. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. We have the auditor's reports of fees collected, the recorder's monthly report of fees collected, the Veterans Affairs monthly report of fees collected, and the Iowa Land Records Electronic Services Systems records. These will be on file in the auditor's office, and you can read these at your leisure.
You're missing one here.
Did I miss one? Thanks. You guys are all right. Thank you, sir. This brings us down to 5N for minutes for regular meeting on July 5th, 2023. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep. Okay, gentlemen, do we have other business?
I have none.
I have none.
Future agenda items?
I think, don't we have Pioneer Cemetery on the agenda for the 18th?
Correct.
Okay. And committee reports?
I have
James?
none.
I had none.
Okay, I had a conservation meeting, and they did a really good job with their budget. He was right on with revenues as projected. They did go over 0.77% on their budget, which was, I can't remember the amount now, but it was, they're definitely moving in the right direction, so things are looking good with conservation. And they did, Chris already dealt with it, they've got money from US Gypsum, and they're gonna put that to use. That's about all I have to report. Now we're at the time for public input. We want to hear from you. If you'd like to email us, you can do that at board@dmcounty.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can email us at any time at board@dmcounty.com. Or you can call us right now, 319-753-8203, extension 4. Sarah Marie will answer that phone call for you at 319-753-8203, extension 4. We're going to give you a couple of minutes here, and if somebody has any comments or concerns, this is your opportunity now. So, James, start the clock. And somebody say something interesting while we're waiting.
Got a couple of comments, might as well open this conversation. You know, we've got this project coming with the Iowa Army Ammunition Plant, and it's an amazing opportunity economically, locally, and important for our nation, and a very positive thing, but just as the board's probably aware, those things do weigh heavily on local resources and specifically to the sheriff's office, to law enforcement. You know, we've seen from the project in the past, fertilizer plant, you can look at the data and see how GL populations moved up during the course of that project, and as it tailed off, they really went up. So there's a lot of really good people that come to the area to help with that project, but then sometimes maybe they may not find the work to move on. So we saw our numbers really go up as that project tailed off. And there are some other impacts that I think hurt those numbers at the time. There's MHI closings and lack of beds and things like that co-occurred. But I just would want the board to be aware that as we see this influx of people coming into the area, and there's other things, just traffic coming into Middletown. You know, one of the busiest things that we had was 61 southbound out of Burlington and school bus stop violations. And it was several to even 10 or 20 every day that were following up on school bus violations, because there was a school bus stop there, and it was a kind of a racetrack heading out of Burlington at the in the morning time, and we had school bus violations that we were following up on constantly. But the traffic, the speed, the road safety, we'll see those same things probably in Middletown, and we'll just, I feel like we're in a really good position to deal with it. We're full staff, as good as position as possible. But I do see some challenges coming with it, and just want the board to be aware of those things that might come our way.
One thing about it, when you had the plant down in Fort Madison, you had all kind of construction workers coming for that. Out here at the plant, they're gonna have to pass all kinds of background checks, so it's gonna be a different clientele you have out here.
I would agree. We'll still see things, you know, with out-of-town workers, you know, intermingling with local workers.
Yeah.
We'll see that at restaurants, bars, the casino, those kind of things, where things just tend to get busier. New faces, and it's, I'm not placing any fault, those things just kind of happen when you have an influx of people coming into any area. But I would agree with you that, you know, with that, you know, there's gonna be challenges just getting them into the plan, as they do a lot of vehicle searches, and we assist with that with our K-9, we'll go out there and help with that. But there will be a lot of challenges of getting them in there, but they will have those background checks done, they'll have IDs, they'll have all those things established, so that's the positive side of it.
Sounds to me like they might be going in down to the Augusta too, on the south gate.
Yeah, I'm not certain how they're gonna handle all that traffic, but I know they're looking for, you know, adequate housing. They're exploring all the surrounding communities, and they'll probably be coming in from several directions.
Have you heard any sort of a time frame?
I really haven't. The timeframe I heard is they want to see it completed in fiscal year 26-27, and that it was a 2 to 3 year project. That's nothing official, but that to me says that we should be looking to see it start in the coming year, and I don't know how soon exactly.
Ryan, have you heard anything on it?
Originally, the site grading was supposed to start this fall, so late this year, Q4, so.
I figure they'll probably contact you for labor. We hope so anyway.
Should be all under PLA, under the president's executive order, so yeah, I mean, it should be, but, not much communication unfortunately yet, so, considering the amount of workforce that's gonna be needed, so. One comment I do have, I don't get a chance to come down here often enough, we have building trades, conflicting time, but Ryan Drew, 12688 Flint Bottom Road. I know a couple bridges were on the agenda today, and I wanted to take the opportunity to speak about the federal aid swap program. I think I've been down to this board before and talked about it. You know, we've watched that play out over several years now, being used in the state of Iowa, and I would argue that the benefits certainly don't outweigh the negatives to local workers. Predominantly, it's used on bridge projects, but it's also used on, can be used on farm to market or certain paving projects, so I would ask that the board take a position in opposition to that. I mean, in some projects, that stands to be a 20 to 50% pay cut, total package in wages and benefits to the workers, the men and women that rely on that work for a career in our community. So when we've done our numbers, looked at the DOT compared to what they were receiving bids at, compared to the engineer's estimate, savings on those projects have been less than 1%. And I just don't think that's worth the 20 to 50% pay cut we're asking the local people that pay taxes in our community to take on these projects. So I would ask that the board look into that further or take a position in opposition. ultimately, it would be handled, the decision to opt out would be handled at the Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Commission. The bi-state up in the Quad Cities has opted out, has been opted out for probably 4 years now. And, you know, life continues on and workers are guaranteed a good wage on the project, so, thank you.
SWAP has changed drastically for counties. There's not nearly as much SWAP available to counties as there was because of the new federal transportation bill. So you might wanna update a little bit on that sometime.
They're still happening every day or every month,
There is
letting
still
through the
SWAP.
DOT, and I would still ask the board to be.
A lot of SWAP is now cities. Actually, they left what SWAP was gonna be available. It's a lot of it's being used by cities. There is a small portion somehow decided by the DOT that they're using on a small percentage of bridges, but most of our bridges going forward, other than these, cause these are locally funded, will be federal aid primarily, just so you know that. And actually transportation projects also.
Everybody says it's not a problem anymore, but it's still on every letting, there's bridges being let, and it's still.
Oh, I never thought it was a problem, so there you go.
It is to the people that work on the projects and take a pay cut.
I thought it was a great thing.
Is there a time? Okay. We appreciate everybody for the public input. This brings us to 10 now for closed session for maintenance director's personnel evaluation per code 21.5 LI. I get a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second. Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCabe.
Yes.